It's a normal, ordinary day in Estonia. You're lying on your couch and you're swiping right on Tinder when suddenly you get a match. Hello, hi, how's it going? You suddenly hit it off and the other person seems to be really interested too. So you ask, okay, so would you like to move this chat over to Facebook or Instagram? And she says, sure, why not? And then you add her on Facebook and then you immediately see, okay, 5 mutual friends. Perfectly normal. So things are moving really well, and then you ask her, okay, how about we go out for a coffee? Then she says, sure, why not? And then you go out for a coffee, and when you're sitting there, you see, okay, there is my colleague over there. And that is perfectly normal because on ordinary days, whenever you go out, you see at least 3 of the people that you know in Estonia, Tallinn. Hello everybody, my name is Manan. Welcome to my channel. I have been living in Estonia for the past 10 years. I'm originally from Pakistan, and on this channel I like to talk about cultures and people from around the world. One of the most popular videos on my channel is the video in which I talk about the crazy things that are considered completely normal here in Estonia. And since you guys seem to really enjoy the video, I decided, how about I make a sequel to that video? So without much further wait, here we go. Crazy things considered normal in Estonia, part 2. Number 1. Ice roads in Estonia. Every winter when we have a very good winter, now good winter means that we have like -20 or -30 for a couple of months. Every winter when that happens, then we have ice roads in Estonia. The sea freezes over and you can actually drive with your car on the sea legally. Now, I know that these ice roads are pretty much common in other countries too, like for example in Alaska or in Canada. But in Estonia, it's actually very interesting what you can do with it. Now, this ice road has some very specific rules. Number 1, you have to maintain a distance of more than 250 meters from the next car. Number 2, your speed has to be between 10 to 25 and then 40 to 70 kilometers per hour, because in these speeds you don't have that specific resonance that can break the ice. And number 3, and most interesting thing of all, you're not allowed to wear seatbelts. Yep, you are not allowed to wear seatbelts whenever you are driving on the ice road. Now, I was fortunate enough that I was able to not just drive on the ice road, but I actually was able to bicycle on the ice road. That was a couple of years ago, and I had an amazingly good time. It's a whole another different thing if you can ever get to have that experience in Estonia. Number 2, Verivorst or blood sausage. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine that you are being hosted by your very dear Estonian friend on a Christmas dinner. It's a great night, you're having a great time, and then your friend says, okay, you know, you're a very special guest for us and we have prepared the absolutely amazing, the most important Estonian dish that we have prepared for you. And then they bring this platter full of these sausages with blood oozing out of them to you, and then they say, this is Verivorst, which is blood sausage. Now, Verivorst or blood sausage is actually made of pig's blood, pork, and some other herbs and spices that you can also add. And let me just mention it here that blood sausage is not just unique to Estonia. I mean, it's some variations. You can find it in Europe and in other continents as well, in Asia and even in South America. But specifically for Estonia, because they have such a very limited cuisine, it's almost like a national dish, and it's right at the top. Yep. Blood sausage is a delicacy in Estonia, and you can find it near Christmas in every stores. But you know, traditional Estonians actually like to prepare it themselves. You can bake it, or then you can even fry it as well. Some people might think it crazy, but perfectly normal in Estonia. Number 3, and that is romantic relationships at work. Now, that is not to say that romantic relationships are not common in other countries of the world. I mean, according to BBC, 1 in 10 heterosexual couple actually met at their work. But in many other countries that I know of, like in the US or other European countries, workplace relationships are still considered a bit of a taboo, like it's not really encouraged. But in Estonia, in my experience, it's perfectly normal that you have relationships at work. In fact, I have actually seen wherever I was working that people are openly dating each other and their colleagues. And I don't think there's any specific rules regarding HR that you have to notify them or you have to mention it to them that you are actually dating your coworker. Of course, it becomes a little bit different if there is a huge difference in stature. For example, if you're a CEO and you're dating an employee, it gets a little bit tricky. But even in Estonia, it's fairly common and it's not discouraged at all. And I was really surprised to see here that there are relationships at work. In fact, in my own experience, whenever I would ask couples wherever they first met, normally their first response would be that we actually met through a friend. But the second most common response that I would hear from couples would be that they met at work. So it's a fairly normal and a very common way for people to meet each other at work and be in romantic relationships. Who knew? Number 4, and that is decades without marriage. Now, marriage in Estonia is just paperwork. It's not something that is considered very traditional. People are not encouraged to get married, even though they might be in relationships. And what do I mean by that? In traditional other European countries, what I know of, that you meet another person and before you settle down or you have kids, you decide, okay, we're gonna exchange rings and we're gonna get married. But in Estonia, marriage actually comes very, very later. I know a lot of my friends, they didn't even get married. I mean, they have kids, they've been living together with each other for more than 20, 25 years, and they're not married at all because they think that it's just a formality, it doesn't really matter. Which is kind of crazy if you're coming from a culture that holds marriage like up on a pedestal, that marriage is like you have to get married. But in Estonia, marriage, as I said, is just paperwork. In fact, there is an excellent article by Polina Shevchenko in which she talks about this marriage statistics in detail, and one of the graphs, I would like to reproduce it here, that says that babies actually come first before marriage. In general, like throughout all age groups, you would see in this graph that babies come first and then marriage comes later, which is crazy if you think about it from another perspective, from another culture, but in Estonia, perfectly normal. Number 5, and that is seeing acquaintances everywhere. And that is what I was talking about in the beginning of this video. So back in 2016, I had this joke, and the joke was that if you ever met somebody or saw somebody that you really liked and you kind of didn't have their contact information, then what you should do is that you should go outside this shopping center in Tallinn, which is the Christina Center, and then you just stand there in the evening, in the afternoon of Sunday, and then more or less there is a 90% chance that you will see that person in the shopping center. And it's not so far from reality because in practice, you see your acquaintances everywhere. It's almost impossible for me to go out in Tallinn and not meet somebody or not see somebody that I know. That's not just because I'm a much more common face in Estonia, but it's certainly very common for many other people as well. You meet new people and then you immediately find out that you have so many mutual friends. It's actually a rare occurrence if you meet somebody new and you don't have any mutual friends. That is big news because you normally have mutual friends or somebody you know almost every time. And that is one of the very big reasons why I tell people who are moving to Estonia to very, very tightly guard their reputation, because Estonia is small, news travels fast, and if you ruin your reputation, then everybody knows. So there you have it, 5 things that are considered crazy around the world, but completely normal in Estonia. If you like this, then please subscribe and share down a comment about why you like them. And then if you would like me to make another part on the same topic, let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.